All right. Thank you, everybody. Looks like we've still got a lot of people coming in. I want to thank everybody for attending this evening because tonight I have got such a special treat for you. I'm going to be talking to Wayne Breitbarth, and he's the CEO of Power Formula LLC and the author of a most incredible book on LinkedIn called The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success. And there's a little, underneath that it says Kickstart Your Business Brand and Job Search. And I have read the book, and it's amazing for job seekers, and it's going to be one that I recommend to all my clients. So let me first say welcome, Wayne. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Tammy. It's great to talk again.
Yeah. We actually met face-to-face in San Francisco a few weeks ago, the end of September, and I was just amazed by the amount of information that he gave in a presentation to us about LinkedIn, and I begged him to talk with my clients and the people on my newsletter list. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to be sharing a really great it's actually a webinar. You can look online because I know we have a lot of people on the phone right now. So if you're on the phone, you can listen in online as well, and you'll be able to see the webinar slides. So it looks like we've got...
And don't forget to remind them that we sent them a couple of handouts.
Yes, and there are handouts for the agenda and also some calls to action as well. And let's see. Yeah, there are still a lot of people coming in, like every minute that I refresh. All right. Okay, well, let me introduce Wayne. He's an experienced businessman. Now, I know that until recently he was also a business owner. He's a speaker and an author, and he shared his passion for social media with more than 40,000 business professionals through private business consulting, dynamic presentations to local and also national audiences, and that includes Inc. magazine, the American Marketing Association, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And Wayne's listeners are captivated, and I believe that, by the simple, straightforward approach that results from his 30 years of experience in the areas of operations and finance and management consulting and business ownership. And until recently, he was a business owner, and we can talk about that a little bit. He works with companies to develop a comprehensive strategy for using LinkedIn to increase sales and brand awareness and recruit employees just like you guys and reduce recruiting fees and discover new markets for products and services. And he's got a CPA and an MBA from Marquette University, and he's put all of his expertise into a very critically acclaimed book called The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, Kickstart Your Business Brand and Job Search. It's published by Greenleaf Book Group. And I can tell you, everyone who's listening, whether you're live or listening to the recording, you can get this book on Amazon, and I highly, highly recommend it. But tonight, we're actually going to go through a series of slides that you can watch online, and we can find out a lot of tips. And he's going to share with us about an hour of great information. So, Wayne, I'll let you start, and then as I think of questions, I will definitely ask you, because I'm coming from it from the perspective of a job seeker. And so I'll have specific questions relative to job seeking, but this is pretty much what this is about. So go ahead, Wayne.
Great, Tammy. Thanks for that kind introduction. I wish my mother would have been listening to that. It is so nice to be with you this evening, and we're in Wisconsin. We've got our first crazy snowfall here today, so I'm a little down in the dumps over that, I got to tell you. But we live in Wisconsin, so what are you going to do, right? So just a little bit more background about myself. Just the short version of my LinkedIn experience is this. 5 years ago, as the owner of an office furniture dealership here in Milwaukee, our business was really bad, and we were trying to find ways to grow the business. And I was not going to have anything to do with LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. I was not going to do any of this stuff because I was convinced it was just going to go away like a little bellyache, right?
Yeah.
And so I fought it, and the screen and my book say I was a skeptic. I was not a skeptic. I just wasn't doing it. There's no way. And then I finally broke down and tried it. And when I had that revelation moment, I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I haven't done this yet. And when I started to see the power of this thing for our furniture business, then I just started helping people in Milwaukee with how to use it. And I realized that a lot of people had accounts 5 years ago, but nobody knew what they were doing. And these days, a lot more people have accounts, but people still don't know what they're doing. And one of the audiences I've been always blessed to be able to be in front of are people like your audience, and I do a lot of speaking in general, but I do job seeker events every 2 months, usually at some of the churches that I run into when I go into different towns in the Milwaukee area and Chicagoland. And so this class that I've developed here has come out of teaching other variations of my job seeker class, and I think I've really got a good one here. But I'm going to overload your audience with lots of stuff to do. So I hope that's okay.
Yes, and they're used to that. When they listen to me, I give them lots of information.
All right, good, because I'm not going to hold back, because you said they could take it.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do it. So let's get rolling. If you don't have a chance to grab these handouts now, be sure to grab them afterward, because they'll be helpful for you. And we're going to have a few other things at the end for you as well. But let's get to what we're going to cover tonight. And the title of this talk is The 10 LinkedIn Steps to Your Next Great Job. And these are the 10 steps we're going to go through. And some of them we'll spend a little more deep dive time on, and others we'll go through fairly quickly. And the agenda has some bullet points with the ones that you need a little more help with. But between the agenda and this recorded conversation, you should be in great hands. But let me just start with how LinkedIn works and what's the premise that LinkedIn was built on. You know, what's going on with LinkedIn is really just the whole Kevin Bacon thing, you know, first, second, third degree. We connect with people at the first degree, and because of that, we can see who their friends know and who their friends know. And so that's the power of the finding part of LinkedIn, F-I-N-D-I-N-G. The other half of LinkedIn is you being found. And that part is all about your profile. So there's really sort of two things going on. We're searching for people and organizations and relationships. And then on the other half, we're hoping people are searching for us. And so we'll talk about those two things in general. But just to give people a little more background, there's 259 million people on LinkedIn as we speak, and 1 million new people join every day. And I just saw a statistic. Yeah, 1 million every week, 2 new every second of the day. And just the other day I read somewhere that 78% of the job openings are somewhere on LinkedIn, whether it's a job posting, whether it's in status update. So when you think about it, Tammy, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're probably only seeing 22% of the jobs that are out there.
Absolutely.
You know, and here's another thing that I don't have statistics on this other than me surveying people that I know that are either recruiters or HR directors. And I ask this question all the time. I said, if you were to allow just one document between a person's LinkedIn profile or a resume, which one would you take? And I mean, it's hands down they want the profile.
Really?
And, you know, just think about it.
That just underscores how important that is versus a resume, because it's the way that you're found.
Yeah, and it's just more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've looked at a lot of resumes in my days as a business owner and a manager at big companies, and, I mean, they're pretty boring. I mean, they really are. I mean, they're a requirement of the program and how you do things, but to me, LinkedIn profiles can be so much juicier and interesting and compelling, and so we're going to talk about some of that stuff tonight, why it is that the preference is to have a profile. But if you don't feel that way about your profile, guess what? Because you haven't maximized your profile.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to step back and say to yourself, have I really done what I was supposed to do? So I'm going to start out, I'm going to whip through some of the general profile requirements that you need to have to really get going. But what this point really boils down to, you got to pick up a copy of a book like mine or just another resource. You know, half of my book is about your profile section by section and the strategy of this section and what you do with screenshots and everything else. But so let me go through some quick things with people. Your status as it relates to LinkedIn and your profile, sort of your score. We used to have percentages on LinkedIn, and now we have a status which goes beginner, intermediate, expert, all-star. Those are the 4 things. And when you're on your profile in the view mode, you'll slide over to the right-hand side and you'll see a little circle there, and the circle will be partially filled in. It'll tell you which of those 4 things you are. You have to work your way to get to it, become an all-star, that's for sure. And that doesn't mean that you have a great profile yet. That sort of gets you in the LinkedIn sort of game of, okay, you at least got enough that I'm going to call you an all-star. I don't think you're an all-star just from that, my own personal opinion. Yeah. But you got to do what LinkedIn says. The trouble that I have with your audience and every audience I teach is I don't know exactly what that means, because LinkedIn has never really shared that. When they changed this 2 years ago, they went from the percentages where they did tell us what we were missing to get to 100% to this new status where, you know, we're all sort of guessing. But I know what some of the things are. You have to have a photo. You have to have at least 5 skills. I recommend on my agenda you got to have 25, and we'll talk about that a little later. Why? You've got to have at least 2 jobs listed there. You've got to have at least 1 educational entry, and those are, and then you have to have 50 connections.
Wow! So that's the baseline for being an all-star?
That's the baseline, and that's not much.
Yeah.
You know, especially that 50 connection thing, you know. I mean, you remember when I taught the class out in San Francisco. I mean, when I spoke of connections, it's the gas in the tank, and 50 is really not going to get you anywhere. And so when you see the outline, my outline says you better have 150. And it's easy. 150 is easy. You know, I mean, you saw my picture. I'm 55. 150 is easy. You know, the older you get, the more relationships you have. And if you're a job seeker and you got 35 or 40 connections on LinkedIn, that's not going to really take you anywhere. So, so another thing that I've listed in my profile requirements is to work on getting recommendations. You know, 2 recommendations will show up for each job posting automatically below the job descriptions that you have on your profile. You can get more, and it'll say, if you click that, it'll show if you have more. But I recommend that people work really hard at getting a couple of nice recommendations for every job they have listed on LinkedIn. Because it just shows you how good everywhere you're at.
How would you suggest going and asking for recommendations? Do you have a secret formula for that?
No, the secret formula is you send people emails or get them on the phone and say, hey, I'm in the middle of job search. Recommendations are going to be important for me, especially on LinkedIn. And could you be so kind as to write one? And if you want to do something, even the next step, and you know where you worked with this person or how you knew them, feel free to send them a sort of a draft. You know, if you do that, you'll be surprised how many people would revise it or cut and paste it if you make it easy for them. So that could be a secret formula. It seems to work for the people I've suggested doing that. The other thing is, you know, so recommendations are still important, even though we have a thing called endorsements. And, you know, endorsements are confusing the heck out of people. No question about that. There's a lot of really annoying parts about this whole new endorsement thing, and I'm glad we're talking about it early because most people want to hear about this, and during Q&A, that'll be the first question for sure. What's going on with endorsements? They seem silly or stupid. And yes, they seem like both those things, but I can tell you LinkedIn thinks they're important.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
And when LinkedIn
also
thinks something's...
Just a note. Well, I was just going to say, if you have questions, and it looks like most of our audience is online, if you have questions, submit them in the little box, ask a question. It's just to submit your question for the event here. So go ahead and do that anytime during the hour, and then at the end of the evening, we're going to go over those questions. So if you hear something that you want more information on, feel free to submit that, and then we'll get it answered for you. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No problem. So, so recommendations are still really important, even though we have endorsements. And here's what's going on with the endorsement thing, is you get endorsed for skills and expertise. And I would like people to just think about the skills section as just a pantry full of keywords.
Oh.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And you can have 50 items in your pantry, and I'd fill them right up.
All the way up to 50.
I'd use every one of them, and I would make sure that that skills do not creep in there that mean nothing to you. Like, for example, the way the system works on LinkedIn, it's always prompting everybody to put different skills on your profile and endorsing those skills, and that system is crazy. But if you have a skill that says leadership, and you've got 5 people endorse you for that, and we all want to be known as leaders, but that's not a keyword that a recruiter or a HR person is going to use.
Yeah.
Then I would take that down. I would go into profile edit, and I would get rid of any of those words. Forget that they're called skills and expertise. Think them just keywords again. And I get rid of the keywords that mean nothing in the search engine. Okay, and we'll talk more and more about that as we go forward. And we actually have something in one of our free resources at the end of the night about keywords. But you've got to start getting a handle on your most important keywords, and this is one of the spots on the profile you should fill that baby up.
Okay. And just for the audience, too, I've got a several-page document that's filled with keywords and experience factors that you can put in there. So if anybody wants that, they can just email me. And I think everybody knows my email address, but it's tammy@beyondjobsearching.com. Or just reply to one of my emails from when you registered for this class. So go ahead. Cool. I've got a 4-page document that has tons of it.
Oh, that's great. Good. That'll be a big help. Because, a lot of people just don't get this. I mean, I didn't get it 4 years ago. What are keywords? We didn't grow up on this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to move on from the first point. And there's a lot more to this point, but I don't want to belabor what I'm calling, this is blocking and tackling stuff. And you can get the blocking and tackling. I want to get into more of the strategy stuff with you while we're sort of on the call. So I'm going to move to the second point, unless you have any questions on that one yet, Tammy.
No, I think you did a fantastic job.
Great.
That's really great.
So point 2 and 3 here are define and connect people at your target companies in the department you want to work in, and define and connect with recruiters who specialize in your industry. In both of these cases, define and connect, there are many ways to do this on LinkedIn. And I'm going to show you just a few of those ways to find the right people to connect with. Beginning with what is the best feature on LinkedIn, and it's advanced people searching. Now, how you get to the advanced people searching screen is you simply click the word advanced that appears up on your top toolbar right next to the great big white search box. Go to the right of that and click the word advanced. And then you have access to the entire LinkedIn database using all kinds of filters and keywords, parts of the country, colleges, you name it. There's a bunch of filters that you can dig in to that huge database of 259 million people. So the goal here on this step is to, once you have your list of target companies, and believe me, you better have the list of target companies. I think you probably preach that all the time too. If you don't know where you want to work, nobody else does. So when you find target companies, you should be searching into those companies using this tool. And I would be searching for people in the HR department, and I would be searching for people in the department that you're going to work in. So basically what you're trying to do is virtually enter the office. Okay. So if you think about it, if I'm an engineer and I want to work at a place like in Milwaukee, a really good engineering company is called Johnson Controls. It's a worldwide company. The home office is here. They've got about 90 engineers there, and everybody would like to work there that's an engineer. So if you do the search, you'll basically see all 90 people's profiles. That's just how LinkedIn works. Now the step that I'm telling you to take as a job seeker is to try to connect with some of those people. Because really what you're trying to do is just get some intelligence from them and make some friends. You know, make some friends who are sitting in the cubicle right next to the cubicle you want to be in. And sometimes that feels too aggressive to people, but not if you look at their profile and strategize how you could connect with them. And the best way is to look and see if you're connected through a person to them. Okay. And call that friend and say, hey, I see you know such and such. They work at Johnson Controls and they're an engineer, right? And you hope that your friend goes, oh, yeah, sure, I know that person. Yeah, we go to church together. It's my neighbor. We went to college together, whatever. And then say, hey, would you mind either introducing me to them or allowing me to use your name when I try to connect with them on LinkedIn? And it'll work like a champ. And then, or you use something like, hey, you see they went to the same college you did, and maybe make it reference to that. You know, what you find out, more people want to help you than you think. But you have to ask. You have to be the aggressor. As the job seeker, you've got to be the aggressor. You don't know how many people I get to this point, and I'm looking in the audience, and I get these blank stares. I'm going, listen, if you think this is too much work or it's too aggressive, guess what? You don't have a job right now. It's something new and different. You got to push yourself a little bit. And I feel very strongly about that. You know, LinkedIn is a tool to do just what we're trying to use it for, but we've never been used to that. I mean, we wouldn't walk into this department and start shaking hands with total strangers. Now, if we met them at a networking event, we'd be thrilled we had met them. So you got to sort of treat it that way. And think to yourself, Tammy, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. I tell my clients that all the time. Yeah. Let me ask you something. If you don't have any connections with them and they didn't go to your school, you don't see anything in common with them, do you have a recommended verbiage of how you would reach out to that person? And would you go for the guy that's going to be your boss, or would you go for the guy that's in the cubicle next to you?
Both and.
Okay.
You know, both and. You know, I mean, it's a matter of just trying to get in there as many times as you can. I mean, I had a friend of mine that on his target company, he did just what I'm talking about. And he connected with 7 people from that department. And there was no job openings at the time he did in that place, but it was on his list. And so then for the next few months, he posted status updates, which is another point that on my top 10 here. He just did that on a consistent basis so that he stayed in front of not only those 7 people, but everybody in this network. And by the time a job was actually posted about 4 or 5 months later, everybody felt like they knew this guy.
Oh, wow.
You know, and he never really met anybody the way we used to meet people. But when the job posted, then before you know it, these 7 people went into the hiring manager and said, this guy he's looking for a job. Don't we have this posting? He's really good. And the only reason he thought he was really good is because he kept sharing great expertise in the area. He's a trainer in the training area, in the educational area, and all that kind of stuff. And so he just was just in front of people, but he had to do this part first. Mm-hmm. You know, he had to connect with people because that gives you the privilege then that they'll receive your status updates. So, so I just use these tools, and I'm telling you, there's something on that profile that's going to help you get in there. And at a minimum, Tammy, you could say this. Hey, I noticed you work at the engineering department, Johnson Controls. I've heard great things about your company. Would love to have a cup of coffee with you if it's possible. But in the meantime, I'd be honored to have you join my network on LinkedIn.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And then just see what happens, right?
Gorgeous verbiage. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the word honor helps. I think that the fact that you in the beginning you flat out just told them, listen, I think your company's cool. I've heard good things about it. I'd like to sort of be like you, right? I'd like to work there.
Yeah.
And people are more helpful than people really know. So this advanced people searching, and one of the worksheets that we have in the toolkit that we'll talk about at the end includes a special. One of them is advanced people searching and how to do it well. It'll help everybody a ton, step by step, fill in the blank kind of stuff. Let me go to the second one. The second one is called the alumni feature. And what the alumni feature is your ability to search any school that you have listed on your profile, or really anybody's profile. And how you get to this page is you simply click on the name of the school, and you'll get to the university page. You'll see a filter grid like this. You'll click see more, and then you'll get to this filter where you can look at, like in this case, this is Marquette University. Got cut off on my screen, but this is Marquette University. There's 54,000 alums who went to Marquette, and I can see where they live, where they work, what they do, and then if you push the arrow to the right, you can see what they're skilled at, how you're connected to them, and what they studied. I mean, how good is that? And then you can sit there, you can click off company names. So then you filter by these categories, and then it'll leave you the names of the people right below when you're all done filtering. That's good stuff.
Now, is this available to non-premium members?
Yes, it is. This is a free. Everything I talk about tonight will be free, and everything in my book is free.
Yeah.
So this is a great tool. This is a great tool.
And this I did not. I had no idea this existed. This was so cool.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting things that LinkedIn comes out with these great new features, and they don't tell anybody. I remember when this one came out 2 years ago, I jumped out of my chair. I was at home here sitting next to my wife, Brenda, and I said, oh, my gosh, look at this new thing. And she said, you are such a geek. I said, honey, this is one of the coolest features on LinkedIn, number one. That's why I'm excited. But you know what else I'm excited? She said, no, what, you geek? I said, because it's free. I mean, they could have put this on the paid account any time, right? I mean, it's that good.
Sure. Yeah.
But they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it available to everybody. So this is another great tool for finding people. The last one I'm going to discuss is company pages. You know, you can begin a search on LinkedIn by going to company pages, and when you get to a company that you're interested in, you should follow that company. Let me see. I think I might have a slide for that a little bit later here. Let me go with that one. Yeah. So you should follow those companies, because then you'll get all the job postings that they list. You should click the careers tab of the company page, and you'll be able to see all the jobs. You should read the updates, because many times there will be jobs in there. But also, in this case, on this Johnson Controls page, when you click that 33,093 number, you'll then be searching all the people at Johnson Controls, and you can use engineer, HR, accounting, and it'll drill down into the people that you want to meet. So company pages are another great way to, like I said on this point, to find and connect with people at target companies in the departments you'd like to work in. Okay, number 3 is using the same techniques is for you to make sure you're connected with recruiters that specialize in your industry. There's nothing wrong with recruiters. They want to connect with a lot of people, but that's fine, because you are the people they want to connect with anyway. And get connected to the recruiters that are in your space, in your town. And you
find those through LinkedIn, or just a Google search, or what would you recommend?
I would go right to LinkedIn. I go back to the advanced people search, and I would type in the title box, I type recruiter, and in the keyword box, I type in engineer or finance or whatever specialty they might be. And if you want to pick your town, then just put the zip code in.
Yeah.
And you'll find tons of them. So those are the first 3 points: profile requirements, find and connect with people at your target companies, and find and connect recruiters who specialize in your industry. Okay. Now, the 4th point, there's a jobs tab on LinkedIn. Up at the top toolbar, you see the word jobs. And most job seekers understand this exists, but I didn't want to assume anything. You click that on, and then you can go into advanced search for jobs on LinkedIn. Now, these are jobs that companies have paid for to post on LinkedIn, but it is becoming the number 1 electronic job posting site anywhere. And you can use keywords, parts of the country.
I didn't know it.
Yep. And you find the jobs. It'll show you how you're connected to people that work at those companies, but also you can save those jobs, just like you can on Monster Career Builder, so that you can get an email every day with new jobs that are posted by the criteria that you've listed. So this point is to search for jobs in the LinkedIn Jobs tab, and then save those results. And, for sure set up your save searches so that you get an email every day from LinkedIn with any new jobs that meet your search criteria. The other thing that I find useful in that job section is when you read job posts, you should be cognizant of the kinds of keywords that they've got listed in there, and you should consider having some of those keywords on your profile if they're applicable.
Great idea. Yeah.
It's a great place, because if they're putting certain kinds of software in there, guess what? You better have that kind of software. If you don't, then you don't. But if you do, it better be on your profile, because it's important to them.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's number 4. That's a pretty simple one. Number 5 is to share at least one status update per day. So this is back to my buddy again, where he was using this to not necessarily just status update these 7 people, but just to continually status update his network. Here's the deal with status updates on LinkedIn, Tammy. If I had 100 people in the room, and I had told them to raise their hand if they sent out a status update in the last week, I'd get 5. 5.
Yep.
And this is the best marketing tool, personal branding marketing tool that exists on LinkedIn. It's a way to get your smiling face, your name, and an article about something you read that shows you're smart about whatever your expertise is in front of your network on a consistent basis. Now, that's good marketing. And yet nobody's doing it. Why do you think people aren't using status updates? What's your thought?
I think that for at least a lot of my clients, they're not as internet savvy as some younger folks, and so they don't go to Twitter, they don't do status updates on LinkedIn. They might use Facebook and do status updates there, but probably the number one reason is because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So do you have any suggestions on what they can say?
I think you hit the nail on the head. The two reasons that I think people don't do it is because it feels like Facebook and then they don't know what to say. I agree with that.
Okay.
You know what they should say? They might want to mention things they're doing in their job search. You know, I wouldn't put in there, I'm still looking, but I would put something like this: attended a webinar by Wayne Breitbart last night on the 10 best things for, you know, that way you're telling people I'm active, I'm doing, or, you know, they could say, read this article from Tammy that helps you with, I learned so much about what you should put in your resume from the latest blog post from Tammy, and hopefully they put @Tammy, and then you get a little link there. So those things for sure, but then don't forget, we're all still reading articles about our expertise, no matter if we're job searching or not. Share those articles.
That's true.
And
share
just step back and
share that knowledge. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes people also say, Wayne, well, I don't want to do all that because not everybody's interested. No, but you know what? Your college friends don't care. Your friends from church don't care. But you know who cares? The recruiters and the HR people that read and see that you're still smart and still on top of your game. And since the first of the year, Tammy, these status updates are also showing up on your profile. So not only here that I may miss them when they hit my feed, but they will stay on your profile for, I think, 5 days. So stay in front of people. Stay in front of people.
Yeah.
Now, my suggestion is to always have a link there so a picture pops up. You can see we like to read things with pictures next to them. But also make sure you're posting those at the better time of the day, and that's usually in the middle of the day.
Okay.
You know, because if you think about it, we don't read everything, right? We're in and out of these sites, and you're going to get the most eyeballs if you do it for a while. 11 is free. You know, you can try some on the weekend, it's okay, but during the week it's usually when people are on LinkedIn. And but start with at least one a day. Make it a discipline that you're going to share one a day. If people go, I don't know what to say, here's what you do. Connect with me. I'd love to connect with you. And then you'll see me post several times a day. Go ahead, share mine. I'd love you.
Oh. That's fantastic. Yeah, and same here. I do it at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Repost. Yeah,
that's right.
That's exactly
and
right.
You can see on my slide here, I'm just showing where you could simply hit the share or the like button when you see Wayne's stuff pop up, and I'll give you a virtual hug next time I see you. I love that.
That's great.
Okay,
that's fantastic.
I'm going to move on to another one. Unless we have any questions that come in on those, let me know.
Okay.
But I will move to number 6, which is to make sure you adjust your setting for who's viewed my profile and review your results each day. Okay, so let's start with the first part, which is adjust your setting. If you go into your settings, which you get there by going up to the little head, your face will be up in the corner right. Click that, slide down to settings, and then make sure that your setting is full disclosure. And full disclosure is your picture, your name, your great headline, which we'll talk a little bit more, and the town you're in, and the industry you're interested in. So this is, once again, a branding issue, so that when you're going around and looking at people's profiles, your face shows up, your name shows up, and your headline shows up. And if you've never set that, then there's 3 settings there. There's totally anonymous, there's full disclosure like this, and there's something in the middle, like where on this case it says someone in the telecommunications industry from Saudi Arabia. That's the middle one. And I think the middle one is the default.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Totally anonymous is not the default, nor is full disclosure. I think the recommendation for your audience is to make sure you're full disclosure because you want to be out there.
Would that be the case if you were looking confidentially? Because I've got a lot of clients who are.
Yeah, no, I would say if you are doing the stealth thing, then you got to decide. I mean, then you have to decide, you know.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it's for sure they should not have it on, but if you're going to look at the HR director at some company, maybe I would stealth myself up. But so you can toggle that back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you could say full disclosure, but then when you go to do some things that you think are going to maybe be troublesome, then just turn it off and be anonymous when that's taking place. Now the second part of this tip, number 6, is to make sure that when you see somebody show up here on your list, which will show you on the free account the last 5 people, if somebody's interesting there, I would follow up with them.
Ah, okay.
And
so
if you
send
notice,
them an in-mail or a friend request, a connection request.
I mean, see the blue boxes? These blue boxes did not exist a year and a half ago.
Oh,
so
okay. So you can instant message, or you can message somebody that's outside of your. No, I guess it's either
you can
message
still
or
only
connect,
message,
right?
Right. You can only still message first degree, and
Okay.
you can connect with people who are at the other degrees as long as they haven't decided to be anonymous. Like notice the one third down, it says search.
Yeah.
It doesn't say connect. But what I think is so interesting is that this is such a great feature, and LinkedIn realized people were not doing the next thing, that they finally put the blue buttons and said, listen, you want me to pick up the stinking phone for you too?
You know, I see this to be a great way of getting your 50 minimum. If you don't have very many connections, all you have to do is look at who's looking at your profile and connect with them. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Tammy, if you applied for a job somewhere, and in the next few days or next week or so, you see people pop up here that work at that company, especially in HR or the department, you better get on that one.
Yeah.
And what I mean is you just send the person a note and you say, listen, I saw you looked at my profile. I looked at yours. I did apply for a job at your company. If you have any questions, let me know. I really look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, let's connect. In the meantime, I'd be honored to have you join my network.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I mean, because this feature is there for a reason. Nobody that I know of comes home from church on Sunday and says to their spouse, I'm going to sit over here, honey, and just look at random profiles for about 3 hours. Listen, if they're on your profile, there's a good chance something good is happening.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Excellent.
I mean, there could be random stuff. For the most part, I'm just saying, don't assume that something's not brewing. Like even a friend that said, go look at Wayne's profile because he's really a good LinkedIn expert. My friend then call and say, hey, by the way, somebody else is going to contact you pretty soon, right? We don't do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's who's viewed your profile. That's a great tip. Make sure you follow through on that, everybody. Next one is the company pages, which we did touch on already. Be sure you follow lots of companies. Let me tell you a story here on this follow thing. You're going to love this one. So I was teaching a class to job seekers, and I told the job seekers, I said, one of the things you should do when you get home tonight is you should go hit the yellow follow button at every company you want to work for. And so some people did that, and one lady called me back about 3.5 weeks after that class, and she sends me an email, and she says, or leaves me a voicemail, I can't remember. She said, Wayne, it worked perfect. That's all she said. Oh, my gosh. So I call her back, or I email, I said, you got to tell me what worked. I love to hear the stories. And she said, Wayne, I did just what you said. You know, I told you I was a salesperson, and I had these 14 companies in town that I wanted to work for, and I did it, all 14, boom, 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 before I went to bed that night. And I said, okay, so then what happened? She said, 3 days ago I get this phone call, and it goes like this. I am the HR director at this company. Why are you following us? So because you can look at your followers, and because, get this, I teach an HR class, and I tell the HR people to go look at their followers because those are people that want to work for them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're a connector.
It's perfect.
That's great.
And sure enough, the lady took the job in a week.
Wow.
I mean, because
that's a great story.
It's a great story. And so, and now, I would say, with at Johnson Controls with 163,000 followers, there are HR departments probably not clicking that on very often. That's a big list. But some of your smaller companies that have 30 or 40 or 70 or 80 or 90 followers, those HR directors are going to be in there looking and hoping and thinking that one of the people that like to follow companies are job seekers that might be very capable of the jobs they have posted.
Yeah.
So that one's a home run too, and like I said, just another example of how it worked for somebody. We already mentioned, make sure you read their jobs. You're going to get once you follow a company, you'll get their status updates, and you'll be able to their careers, all their new jobs will come posting to you. Okay, that's number 7. Yeah. We're moving on to number 8, crafting a killer headline and summary. Okay,
yes.
Before I jump into number 8, I got to tell you about what your profile's all about. And there's a lot of this in the book, but the 2 words you got to think about when you work on everything in your profile is keywords, stories. Keywords, stories. Keywords, stories. Without keywords, you're never going to be found. Period. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn is just a search engine. It needs keywords, and you and I know that well, and hopefully your audience knows that well, but I'm not going to assume that. But secondly, stories. Yeah. Your profile should make sure that everybody understands what it is you're up to, what you're trying to accomplish, where you've been, but more importantly, where do you want to go? And what stories do you have to support that journey? And when it comes to headline or summary, or any other section for that matter, make sure you have keywords and stories. So I'm going to start with the most important part of your profile as it relates to keywords or stories, and it's your headline. Now, it is only 120 characters, so you got to use it really, really wisely. Yeah. So I went out just the other day when I was preparing for this, and I looked for, here's a search I did, which you'll find interesting. I searched looking, pursuing, or seeking as a keyword. Okay. And I think I probably hit Milwaukee, and then I hit search. So notice I've used those words to look for people. So that means you might want to put those words in your profile. Now, some people debate me on that. Some people say, well, I don't really want to. Now, if you're a stealth job seeker, of course, you're not going to do that. But if you're officially looking for a job, I don't think that's a sign of weakness, and I think it's the truth. Yeah. That's my personal opinion. I don't know how you feel about that. Okay.
I agree with you if you're not doing a stealth search. Well, I think that you should say something like seeking opportunity, and then really a strong, as many keywords as possible. I mean, it looks like the LinkedIn headlines that you have here show keywords in job title, also in the type of company or the industry, right? Yeah. And would you also put possibly a geographic location or a city? Sure. Like Kansas City? All that's good. Okay. Those are all great, because if you think about it, this headline travels around with you on LinkedIn, and sometimes when people pop over your picture, a little bit of your headline pops up. And so to me, it's got to be just a little bit of your story. And if you notice on most of these, I sort of like the first one. It says hire me, exclamation point. I think that's sort of cool. But notice the keywords: supply chain, project manager, international, global. The next one, here's an interesting one. It's a student, but they painted a story that I'm looking for an internship in summer and spring of 2014. But then there's HR, and there's marketing, and there's Spanish. So keywords and stories, you can have both in your headline, but notice it's not very big, so you may have to go a little lighter on the story and a little more on the keyword. Like the fifth one down, you'll see that person use what I really suggest when you're just going to list more keywords than stories is I like using the pipe key. And the pipe key is on your keyboard, usually above shift with the backslash, I think. You get confused which one it is. Yeah. It's straight up and down. Backslash. Yeah. Straight up and down. I like using the pipe key. So these are some really good examples. These are really good. These are good headlines. Because here's the thing everybody should understand: if I'm looking
these people came up early in my search, Tammy, and it's because pursuing, seeking, and looking were in their headline. Headline gets the extra weight ranking.
Okay.
There are 3 sections, and we don't have time to go through them all. And if everybody gets the toolkit that will be sent out to them after this, you'll find the 3 sections on the keyword worksheet where you want to make sure you have your most important keywords, and headline is one of them. And there are 2 others that are going to help you a ton too. Because if you think every time a search is done, whether it's you and I or the HR director or recruiter, somebody's first and somebody's last. And you got to understand how that search ranking works, and keyword is going to drive part of it for sure. Okay, so now let's talk about the summary a little bit. Summary, just like the rest of your profile, keywords and stories, but it's 2,000 characters. It's way up at the top of your profile unless you've reordered your profile. And think about it as a cup of coffee with somebody.
Okay.
Sit back and say...
I've always said that the resume is the 30-second commercial and the LinkedIn profile is your 30-minute infomercial. Would that be fair to say?
I think that's perfect. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think you could break that down further and say your summary is that little half a cup of coffee or half a beer you're going to have with somebody to at least get them interested to have a meeting the next day. Right? So it's 2,000 characters. I recommend you put it in Word, you spell check it, you paste it into LinkedIn, remembering it's going to be filled with keywords and stories. And as a job seeker, I think that first paragraph, if you're an official job seeker, that first paragraph should make it real clear what kind of job you're looking for. I shouldn't have to look all over your profile wondering what the heck kind of job does this guy want.
Maybe incorporate that job title into your call to action. I always like to put call to action.
I think that's perfect. I think that's great.
Yeah, if you're looking for a talented project manager in the IT realm, let's have a conversation about what my abilities can do for you, something like that.
I love that. I think that's excellent. I think that's just excellent. Okay.
Knock them over the head with it.
Now, I didn't mention other sections on number 8, but make sure you look for all of the other special sections that are available, optional, special, free sections that are available for your profile. When you are in Edit Profile, they will appear on the right-hand side with a little plus sign if you want them. So it's publications, it's projects, it's patents, it's languages, courses, test scores. There are a whole bunch of great volunteer causes, a whole bunch of great things that you can continue to tell your stories and have some more keywords with some special sections. People don't do it because they just keep thinking about their profile or their resume. It's resume and steroids, believe me. And just, if people are wondering the kinds of things they could do in their profile, make sure you pick up my book or look at my profile. My profile is loaded.
I was just going to say, look at your profile. You're perfect. You so creatively use that projects section as advertisement for yourself. I mean, you are really, if you want to look at, you really do a good job of marketing yourself and advertising yourself. So everybody on the call, if you want to look at the perfect LinkedIn profile, that would be Wayne's. He's probably the only Wayne Breitbarth in, Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
I'm the only Wayne Breitbarth in the world, other than my dad, and he's not on LinkedIn. He'll never be on LinkedIn. Okay, so that's number 8. Work on your headline and your summary and really all your sections, including keywords and stories. We're going to move on to number 9. Number 9 is about calls to action, and the other handout you have tonight talks about calls to action, and it sounds like you're familiar with them, Tammy, and they're really important to have in your profile. If you want people to do something, not just read your profile, you better tell them what to do. And
that's telling them the action you want them to take.
Exactly, and they'll take it if they found the other stuff they read is interesting. If it's not interesting or applicable to them, then it's fine. It's not interesting or applicable to them. But section where you actually write out your calls to action, like on the slide, but don't forget to use the professional gallery. The professional gallery is a place for you to upload video, audio, PowerPoints, articles, any kinds of Word documents right on your profile. And look, you can always put a call to action. Watch as I present a 90-minute training class. Watch, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other one, I should have said download my free ebook. I've got to change that to be a little more call to action, wouldn't it, than just free ebook. I'm going to change that one after hearing you tonight.
And what do you call this section? And where do they find it?
Yeah, it's called the Professional Gallery. It allows you to either link or upload different kinds of media on your profile. And the 3 sections this is available are summary, any job entries, any educational entries.
Wow.
You want to differentiate yourself, the Professional Galleries are really a great way to do it.
Yeah,
a great way
fantastic.
to do it. Okay, so that's call to action. You got this other handout. It'll really help everybody a ton. Now let's talk about the very last, number 10. And I know I'm going to get some people mad at me about this one, just so you know. You're going to get emails about this one. You should join the maximum number of groups on LinkedIn, and it's 50. Oh, everybody's going, no way, are you crazy, Wayne? Are you nuts? What am I doing? I don't want to get all those crazy emails. Okay, it's one little setting. Okay, go up to your settings, click on the groups tabs, all your groups will come up, and turn off the emails of all the groups you really don't care to be part of from a discussion standpoint. But here's the deal with groups, my friend. Groups raise your relevancy in the search, number 1. 2, groups allow you to see at least partial profiles of people who are not in your first and second degree. Number 3, groups, you can search in groups for members to find people that you want to connect with. What was the very first step second step we talked about was find people we want to connect with. Number 4, you can send messages to people you're in a group with, even if you're not connected to them.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
So with that in mind, you going to argue with me on 50, Tammy?
I'm not going to argue with you. You might get some of my clients going, this is a lot of work, but
you won't if you
want
turn
to
the emails off.
Finding a job is a lot of work. It's not easy.
Tammy, how much work is it if you turn the emails off?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it increases your relevancy so much. Yeah.
And you know how many groups there are? You know how many groups are on LinkedIn? 1.8 million.
Wow.
Can't find 50?
How would you... I was just going to say, how, as far as 50 goes, let's see, we've got job clubs, we've got trade industries, we've got groups from employers you want to work at. What are some of the other things that you might do a search on to look for groups that you might want to
go look at the groups of other people that are in your industry. Go look at groups that are in the largest groups in your regional area. There's always a large group in every big town, and it's called a LinkedIn group. Join those. Go join groups where other people that hang out with your clients or your clients' groups. Those groups are good. Go join alumni groups. Those are very good. And join hobby groups. You know, they're in there for your baseball team and your football team and motorcycles and fly fishing and knitting. I mean, there's 1.8 million. Believe me, you'll have no trouble finding 50 really good groups. Decide which ones you want to hear from and change that setting to either weekly or daily. And then the other 42, turn them off. And life will be great. You'll increase your relevancy. You know, and if people would just listen to the setting part and they understand the relevancy and the messaging and all that you get out of being in groups, you'd want 500 groups, Tammy. You don't want some of yours, I'll take them. I'll take them. I'll trade you.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So that's number 10. A very important point. I hate that it's number 10 and people might not get to it, but be sure to get to that step for sure.
Yeah.
So that is 1 through 10, my friend. I will.
Fantastic.
I don't know if you have any questions there, but I want to make sure that people see this free toolkit. The 3 things that are really super important, and they're going to get a link. They're going to get a link to how to download this, and it's 3 separate fill-in-the-blank kind of documents that I think especially those of us that are baby boomers. We love fill in the blank. It's how we grew up. But the first one is how to use people searching. The second one is how to find the best groups for you. And the third one is how and where to put your most important keywords on your profile.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I'm going to send out, first thing tomorrow morning, I'll send out the recording of this call and also the toolkit so that everybody can download that information. Yeah, yeah.
And I would love to connect with your audience, too, just so you know. I mean, I love connecting
You would
with
be
people,
honored to connect with my audience.
I'd be honored.
Absolutely.
But one of my little rules, though, is this. Don't use the standard invitation.
Ah, okay.
That to me, that's just no way to start a relationship. At least mention where we met. Hey, Wayne, I listened to your webinar. I'd be honored to connect with you. I'd love that.
Fantastic. Very good. Very good. And once again, your book is called The Power Formula for LinkedIn Success, Kickstart Your Business Brand and Job Search. And you can get it on Amazon. And is it available in Kindle edition?
It sure is.
That's great. That's great. Yep, everybody needs to pick it up because this is the second edition. It's updated and expanded. It's over 200 pages of really, really good information. So I really, really thank you. We've got not a lot, but we've got some questions, and so I'm going to read some if that's okay.
Okay, great. Fire away.
And then we can take the people that are on the phone. If you're interested in asking a question, you can hit *2, and I'll unmute you. So go ahead and hit *2, which will raise your hand. But I do have some questions from the Peanut Gallery listening online. So this is coming from Allison in Forest Hills. As a career changer, 45 plus, how do you formulate a clear LinkedIn headline if your career target is not clearly defined since you're open to an entry-level position in a variety of jobs or industries?
Oh boy, Tammy, why don't you do this for a living? How would you start by answering that one? Yeah, you start with that one.
I'll take this one. I would say, Allison, that probably your best bet is to determine what you really enjoy doing, determine any industry links that you might have in your past that you would want to continue to go into. And really, I have always thought that if you aim for everything, you're going to hit nothing. And in marketing, there's an axiom that says the riches are in the niches. And I say you get more response from something that is more targeted than if you say, I'm open to anything and everything in a variety of industries. So you don't necessarily have to put the industry, but I would definitely decide on a job title that you're looking for, because that's going to be specific enough for somebody. And a job title will tell people not only what you're interested in, but at what level you feel you can perform that. And if you're looking for an entry-level position and you're a career changer at 45, the only piece of advice I would give you is don't shoot too low, because you'll have a harder time finding something that is beneath your qualifications than really with your qualifications. So if you're looking at entry-level positions and you're past that as far as your resume goes, then you might have a tough time because you'd be overqualified. So that's my answer on that.
I love that answer.
Thank you.
I do. I couldn't add anything to that. It's wonderful.
All right. This is from Nancy in Kansas City. I'm a job seeker, not a recruiter. I heard it was important to build your network. Many recruiters call me. Is it okay to have several job recruiters in my LinkedIn network, or could it hurt me?
It's not only
we kind of covered that, but
preferable. It's for sure. I just can't see a downside.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, because if somebody's interested in you, and if you're doing a confidential search, if that's what you're worried about, then I really doubt that somebody's going to be looking at everybody you're connected with.
And you could always turn that off if you wanted to. You could turn off the viewability of your profile. your connections.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Excellent.
You can.
Okay.
That's one of the settings. Is Now, it's all or nothing. You can't do it by person, but it's all or nothing. So if that's your concern, then go do that.
Excellent. Excellent. And you can do that in your settings area?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, great. Then Mark in Houston. Hi, Mark. Sharing what you are reading is a powerful way to let others know more about you. How can you do a book review on LinkedIn? And how do you put in the videos? Is there a way to customize the look of your LinkedIn landing page? How can you tell what's being said about a company through LinkedIn? A lot of questions there.
Yeah, so the first one is about book
So
reviews.
book review. Yeah.
We used to have a thing called the Amazon book review that's gone when they took out all their applications. But you can also you can do book reviews now in your status updates. You could also do a book review in your professional gallery.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, those would be the two places that I think now are available. What were the other questions?
How do you put in the videos?
Okay, videos are just as simple as when you are in edit profile, in the summary, job experience, or any education, you will see a little add media icon, and it's a little square with a plus down in the corner, and when you slide it over, it'll say add media, and you either do an upload or a link.
Great. Okay. And is there a way to customize the look of your LinkedIn landing page?
You can move around. Once again, when you're in edit profile, anytime you see an up-down arrow, that section is movable up and down the profile. And the other customization is simply using the special sections or not.
Yeah. Your book covers that a lot in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And then how can you tell what's being said about a company through LinkedIn? Is that just as simple as following them? Or can you do a Google search within LinkedIn to see what people are saying about the company?
There used
or would you leave that to Twitter?
Well, no, we used to have a feature called Signal. My gosh, it was so good. We could search status updates. They took Signal away this past August. Those of us that were big fans are sure hoping it's going to make a comeback. Nobody knows why. It's one of those magical LinkedIn things. But at this point, you cannot search status updates.
Oh, okay.
Follow company, I guess, would be the only thing you could do right now.
Okay. And then Brian in Miami says, you say a LinkedIn profile would be better to have than a resume. Wouldn't a really well-written resume help you build the chronological position of your online profile and summary section? Well, it's interesting you say that because that's basically what we do when we have full search clients. We take a functional resume and make it chronological and put it in LinkedIn. That gives you the stories that you were talking about.
That's what I would say too. All I was saying was that you can get a lot more story across to people past the 2 pages that resumes have available, right? That's all.
Mhm. Okay, that's true. And also, here's a question. Should I send out a status update if I'm currently employed? I may not want that information out for my employer to find out.
Well, I would still send out status updates about your industry and all that. I mean, everybody does that, even those of us not looking, so I don't think that there's the assumption that just because, now I wouldn't send a status update about the fact that you listened to my webinar tonight.
True.
But in the industry-related ones and stuff, I would, you know. You just have to be careful with what you say. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying and showing people that you're still reading that you're on top of your industry, whether you're in job search or not.
That's true. It shows that you're a thought leader.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I've got an anonymous one that says the what key? I think we were talking about that pipe key, which is the up and down slash.
Straight up
it's not
and
a
down
backslash.
Line, yep.
It's just an up and down line. Yeah, and
that's correct.
That makes things look really. Okay, good. And then this one is from Brian again. I think it's the same Brian. This sounds like a lot of information. If I'm having trouble or want professional help, does Career Resume Consulting offer any assistance with building my online profile? Thank you. I will send your check in the mail.
That's your brother, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. No, actually, I'm married to a Brian, but he's got the girls out tonight. It's not him.
Okay.
That's great. Yes, we do online profiles, and just as we do resumes. So, yeah, just Brian, if you're interested, feel free to email me back. Just reply to any of the emails I sent you. And then Carla in Colombia says, how do I use LinkedIn to look for a new job confidentially? So we talked some about confidentiality, but are there any main points that somebody who's doing a stealth search needs to keep in mind?
Yeah, here's my advice. Go to my website, powerformulate.net, and slide over to the tab at the top that says blog.
Okay.
And when you get into the blog, slide down to the search box and type the word stealth. And you'll find an article with the 8 steps that you should be taking if you're a stealth job seeker. And if you want, Tammy, you could go grab that link and then put it in the thank you email for everybody to have that. That might be worthy.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do that.
Okay,
I'll do that.
sure.
That's a very good idea. Okay. And that's the last question on the website. Unless there's any more Q&A, go ahead and put them in if you have any questions. But is there anybody on the phone that would like to raise their hand and ask a question? And you just press *2, and that will raise your hand, and I can unmute you if you're interested. Doesn't look like anybody wants to. Oh, yes, actually we have one. Hi, Mark.
Hello, Tammy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great that you're on the line tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
So,
and
yeah.
Great session, Wayne. I do appreciate it. I did want to circle back to the to one of my questions, which was sort of the book review piece of it. You mentioned 3 places. Could you go back over that again?
Yeah, I think the 2 that I was thinking of was to put them in your status updates.
Okay.
And now they go away. You know, once you post it, it's going to go away at some point. But you can use the professional gallery, and then they'll stay there all the time.
And where is the professional gallery?
So the professional gallery is either a link to a bit of media or data, or an upload. And you can include professional gallery in your summary, any job section, and any educational section.
Summary, any job section, and any So after each one of your jobs, you could
you could put it. You could put you're allowed 5 professional gallery items underneath each of those entries. That's a cool idea. I never thought of that, Mark. I think that's sort of neat. As a matter of fact, you want to put my book in one of them, that's perfect.
Well, I guess the question is, could you create a job and call it book review?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody stopped you from doing that. You could do that. That's a unique thing.
You take a lot of creative license with yours, Wayne. I've seen your profile, and it doesn't look like anybody else's I've ever seen.
Yeah, I sort of like that, Mark.
And I thought you mentioned something about Amazon.
It is available on Amazon.
Well, what I mentioned about Amazon was there was an application. We used to have applications on LinkedIn. One of the applications was the Amazon book review section. But they got rid of all of the applications a year and a half ago and replaced them with the professional gallery, which for the book reviews is not quite as nice as what we used to have.
That's okay, because I was wondering where mine went. So
I know.
Okay. All right.
I was a big fan of that, and I'm real disappointed it went away. But they don't ask me.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
No, go ahead. You got some great questions.
And I guess what is your general thought of the perpetual changing nature of LinkedIn?
Oh, Mark, maybe it's because I'm an old curmudgeon guy. I don't know. I don't like any of the changes because I get used to stuff and I like them, but I just think we have to accept it as this sort of new world we're in, especially with these social media companies that are going public and they're trying to continually try to get us to engage more. And So, I don't have to like it. I just have to understand it, and we all have to just understand the rules of the game. Some of the enhancements are wonderful. Some of them are silly. Endorsements to me seem very silly, but I can see why they're important for keywords and stuff like that. So, and on the other hand, when the new profile came out last year, I was not a fan, but I'm starting to really get used to it and think it's really a lot better than the old one. So there I go. Mr. Curmudgeon's moving on.
Adaptability,
yeah.
That's the key. Yeah, being able to adapt.
Thanks
Any
for
other
your call,
questions,
Mark.
Mark?
I appreciate you calling in.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Anybody else have any questions? Let me check. Let's see. And nope, looks like we don't have any other questions. Anybody on the phone? Nope. Okay. I think we are done at 10 minutes after. Very good.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening live tonight. We had a really big audience. And thank you, Wayne. I can't thank you enough for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. And I would tell everybody, please go get that LinkedIn Success book. When I was at the library doing a speaking engagement last week, they had 2 or 3 copies of it at the Central Resource Branch of the library, and I wouldn't wait for that to become available to you. I would go ahead and run out and get it tonight. Seriously, it's a really, really good read, and it gives you a lot of homework to do online. But I think
Tammy,
it's very successful.
I enjoyed the time tonight. Your audience has been wonderful. The questions and the conversation we had, and I hope that the information we shared helped them find their next great job.
Yeah, that's great. And I will put the toolkit out there as well as the toolkit, and then the blog talking about stealth jobs, and then also the link to listen to this later. If you weren't taking notes and you wanted to re-listen, you're welcome to do that. All right. Thank you so much, Wayne. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody on the phone. I really appreciate it. And, of course, everybody online. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful night, everybody. All right. Bye. Bye, Wayne. Thanks again.
You're welcome. It was lots of fun.
Good. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.